Hi, I'm Andrew Perry, and this is the Year of Opportunities. Perhaps you've heard that Artesia is declaring a fiscal emergency. Why would the city declare that? Well, that's an excellent question, and the answer to it has many parts. Yes, the Great Recession is the catalyst, but with just the recession, your services provided by the city would still be achievable. The biggest blow by far is the state's attempt to fix its own budget problems on the backs of cities and the taking of redevelopment money. Here's the city's finance officer to break it down.
Welcome to this week's segment in the Mayor's Year of Opportunities 2012. The topic will be a summary of the proposed 2012-2013 general fund budget, including the city's response to the Great Recession, a status of budget and the Fiscal Emergency declaration, the reserve fund balance and function, estimated revenues and expenditures, and allocation of expenditures for daily operations of activities and delivery of services. In this first slide, there are expenditure rejections since 2009 as the city's response to the Great Recession is in its midstream. An ad hoc committee was formed in January 2009 to review revenue enhancements and cost-cutting proposals. In the fall, there was a suspension of vacation buyback for unused vacation leave, and effective on February 1, 2010, City Hall was closed and Public Works operations every other Friday. It reduced park hours. In addition, there was a 10% wage reduction to all employees by use of the furlough program. In the spring of 2009, the retirement incentive, there were 3 positions that were unfilled. We implemented a citywide 2% budget decrease across all departments. We negotiated for Public Works on-call pay to on-call compensatory time. And effective July 1, 2010, there was a 31% reduction in staff through layoff. That's 13 positions. Consultant services, by request or voluntary restructure of fees and services to reduce the cost to city. Now, with the rising costs, stagnant revenue sources, and continuous state takeaways, the city was compelled to declare a fiscal emergency on June 11, 2012. The city has lost at least $1.5 million in funding over the last year and for the future, directly related to redevelopment tax increment. So, why make a declaration of fiscal emergency? Well, the purpose is to set a clear policy priority statement by City Council that the city's fiscal condition has reached an emergency status. This status identifies that additional cuts are on the horizon, and the city must consider the full array of fiscal remedies. More budget cuts will hurt our community services. Now, for the proposed budget. Annually, the city prepares and submits a budget where expenditures meet or fall below revenues. At the May 30 budget study session, the preliminary draft had an anticipated deficit of nearly $400,000. Countermeasures to close the deficit immediately were to continue a furlough in place since February 1, 2010, to continue suspension of payout of unused vacation and sick leave buyback in place since November 2009. Staff is preparing to provide a balanced budget on June 26, which is the next budget study session, set for 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers. The city will consider adoption if the union will acquiesce to the request by the city for continued concessions for 1 additional year. Before we begin with the operational expenses during the coming year, it is important to understand what the city has in its savings account referred to as fund balance or fund balance reserve. In this next chart, there is a fund balance history over 13 years. The last year is an estimate of where we expect to end the fiscal year. Some of the uses for this fund balance reserve are for cash flow source, a cash advance for restricted funds, disasters, litigation, exposures, general contingencies, economic uncertainties, and unfunded extraordinary capital maintenance projects. Now, what are the general fund revenue sources? Well, for fiscal year 2012-13, we expect to receive about $7.7 million in revenue to allocate for all city day-to-day operations for the fiscal year. Summarized, 46% of revenues originate from taxes. 30% are locally raised fees, fines, and interest. 23% come from state subventions, and 1% derive from interfund transfers. How are the general fund expenditures utilized? Well, the expenditures